Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars franchise seems to be quite expansive, not just with their books, novels, comics, and video games, but also let's not forget about their new Star Wars TV shows and movies that are currently in the works as we speak. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Also, make sure to check me out at Mike01 on Twitter if you would like to. Now, when we go ahead and examine what Jon and Dave have been up to for the past couple of months, there's been a lot of development on numerous TV shows like Ahsoka, Mandalorian, and even the Book of Boba Fett, just, of course, in the beginning stages. We have a lot more TV shows on our way that will be announced by this fall, so looking forward to that as well. Now, given that we have a big scenario now, where a lot of changes are being made behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm, all thanks to Jon and Dave getting a lot of their promotions over at Lucasfilm to have more creative power and control over numerous Star Wars projects. In fact, they are also involved with the Kenobi TV series to a certain extent, so that's another good thing about the show, and one major reason as to why I think a lot of fans are very happy about that TV show. Now, the thing about Jon and Dave, as of right now, they're really hard at work on the Book of Boba Fett. It is now finally entering post-production, which is when they edit, they add all the visual effects and the sound effects, all the like, and that's going to be released by this December. So, the Book of Boba Fett is basically going to be a very different tone in comparison to The Mandalorian Season 2. It's going to have its own style, its own format, if you will. Both Jon and Dave are making sure that they are doing everything to make it more of a different TV show in comparison to The Mandalorian. So with that being said, what's really intriguing all has to do with Jon Favreau and his stance on everything that happened with Gina Carano and, of course, Lucasfilm as a company and as a whole. So specifically, with the new Star Wars TV shows now in the works, both Disney and Lucasfilm are getting ready to unveil a host of new TV shows by this fall to the Star Wars fandom to fulfill the Star Wars roadmap for the next plus years. However, it's described that creator Jon Favreau is actually very hard at work on shows like Mandalorian and others out there like Ahsoka. However, in a recent interview, creator Jon Favreau went on to apologize to the Star Wars fandom for something very unexpected. At one point in time, when Jon was being questioned about actress Gina Carano, Jon went on to state that he is very sorry and apologizes for not speaking about her firing in the very beginning. Jon Favreau goes on to say that it was a very touchy subject at the time, back in February, and that Disney was trying to figure out on how to handle the entire scenario. Disney was telling me on when I should talk about Gina and her firing, and that I am very sorry it took so long for me to discuss this problem. We all love Gina Carano and still talks to her quite a bit, and though I cannot say much about Gina right now about her return to Star Wars, we are still talking, of course, between myself, her, and Dave Filoni. Jon goes on to state that I deeply apologize for leaving the fandom in the dark about this issue of a beloved character such as Cara Dune and cast member Gina Carano on the set of The Mandalorian. I feel that everything should have been handled differently for the fans and how Gina was treated, and that I wish I could have spoken about the problem earlier rather than later. However, it was Disney's orders to figure everything out first in the beginning. For fans to know, I always felt troubled not being able to talk about it for roughly 2 months after it happened, and that now I am proud to finally make things more clear to the entire fandom. So, one thing about Jon Favreau I gotta say is that I really do feel for the guy that he was pretty much forced by Disney to not talk about the Gina Carano situation. Jon Favreau is a man that cares about the fans. I mean, this is a guy that really loves the entire Star Wars fandom at its heart. He is the very reason as to why Luke Skywalker was somewhat fixed in Season 2. And let's not forget that the main reason as to why Jon Favreau even came back, of course, or should I say came into Star Wars, is because he wanted to fix the character of Luke and wanted to bring Star Wars back on track and really kind of making it the way that it deserves to be. Ever since he saw The Last Jedi by Rian Johnson, that's when Jon Favreau wanted to make some major changes to the overall franchise. I mean, this is a creator that was already associated with Disney, with The Lion King and such, so it's not a huge surprise that, of course, Jon Favreau really wanted to make his way into, of course, Star Wars. Now, the other thing about Jon Favreau here that really does kind of connect to what we talked about, of how there are discussions behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm and Disney about Gina Carano's return. Now, Jon and Dave had a major meeting on May 27th, alright? Just last month, on May 27th, there was a meeting between Jon, Dave, and the Disney board members about Gina Carano returning to Star Wars and her coming back for either The Mandalorian Season 3 or Season 4 at that. And one thing I can really say about all of this is that when we go ahead and see what Jon Favreau has been doing for the past couple of months, he's been fighting for Gina Carano to return. He's been fighting for her to come back to Star Wars, to fix the overall fandom, to really bring it back to its roots, right? And to kind of just balance things out, and I do respect that. The other thing about all of this that is quite shocking is how Jon Favreau basically wanted to talk about this in the beginning. Disney was not allowing him to do so. So, going back to the Book of Boba Fett, this is the project that Jon and Dave are currently actively working on. They're making sure that it's going to be a TV series that's going to be pretty much rooted to the basics, the bare bones of Star Wars, to the visionary of George Lucas, right? Now, when we go ahead and also examine, what Jon and Dave are trying to do with Mando Season 3 and 4, those two seasons are going to be extremely different than that of Season 2. It's going to also have a brand new tone to it. Since they are being worked on back to back, they're going to work hand in hand with each other. It's going to be quite an interesting experience to see what those two seasons are going to be like. Now, about Jon Favreau and Gina Carano, the fact that they still talk, the fact that he, Dave, and Gina all talk behind the scenes, it's a good thing. It's a good sign of what's to come in the next couple of months. Again, like I say, this September is when the Gina Carano return project, or the plan, if you will, is going to be finalized by Disney, and that's when it's all going to be up to Gina Carano if she wants to come back or not. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There's been a lot of development happening behind the scenes, and I think that for this, to really say things, on a more simple scale here, is that what Jon and Dave are trying to do is that they're trying to reunite the Star Wars fandom. They are absolutely trying to do that. And the fact that Jon just really cares about the Star Wars fans that much, it just goes to show us that a lot of things are really progressing as we speak. So, like I've said before in the past, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.